Trying to tell your story to the world? MailChimp can help for free. They've got gorgeous pre-designed email templates. You can also code your own. Show you how to send, when you should send, why people open an email or click delete. They'll help you find your people and grow your business. I use MailChimp. I have for many years, and it's so easy and it helps so much. MailChimp can help you tell your story effectively and find people who care about it. More at MailChimp.com. The Mysterious Secrets of Uncle Bertie's Botanarium is coming back. Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords. Who doesn't love Flight of the Conchords? One of the great alternative odd comedy shows of our time. Jermaine returns as Lord Joseph Banks with all new adventures in season 2 beginning February 1st. Uncle Bertie is a hilarious comedy adventure in the tradition of Monty Python. The AV Club says it's one of the best scripted podcasts. Hear an episode for free at unclebertie.com. That's UNCLEBERTIE.com. Check it out. Jermaine Clement, Flight of the Conchords, so good. Support Uncle Bertie. Hello, all you solo spaghetti eaters. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour, 1 phone call. No names, no holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Hello, everybody. It's your friend Chris Gethard here. You may notice that this episode sounds a little different, this intro right now, because I'm not in the studio. I'm in a hotel room in London recording this because I'm out here doing my show Career Suicide at the Soho Theatre, and it's been really nice. And thank you to everybody in England for being so welcoming to me. And if you're hearing this when this episode comes out, I probably have a few more shows happening. So if you're in the UK, you want to check it out, sohotheatre.com. Enough with the plugs. Last week's episode, Inside the Heroin Epidemic. This one really spread a lot and a lot of feedback. And caller, if you're out there listening, know that your episode seems to have done a lot of good, and it really connected with people. And that's great. A lot, yeah. And the Facebook group, so much feedback. Someone who said, I at first suspected the caller was my daughter. It mirrors my own experience with her addiction. Thank you for sharing your story, treating the caller with respect. Chris, my daughter came from a good home. I was devastated and unbelieving when I found out she was a heroin user. Broke my heart. I spent many years bailing her out of predicaments with money. And she goes on to tell us a lot about it. It's a family disease. And I got better through Al-Anon, a group dedicated to helping families with the effects of alcoholism and addiction. And she says, it was scary to write this. Please, no judgments. Thanks. And it makes me feel good that you shared and opened up. Thank you for that. And another comment that I thought was really impactful that I saw in the Facebook group, someone who said, I will readily admit I was supremely judgmental of drug addicts. I've had all the same nasty thoughts. I'm sure a number of us do. My point is the caller gave me some much needed perspective, a point of view we don't often get to hear. She was open, honest, smart, warm, and funny. None of which are adjectives I ever would have associated with an addict. I truly appreciate this caller. Wish her the best. So caller, know that you put your story out there and it seems to have done some good. So thank you again for that. Now this week's call, I'll tell you, this one really a guy who's gone through a lot and some of it of his own doing, some of it through circumstances life handed him, and he's the first to admit that. And I would just describe this as a call with a man who is pretty shell-shocked and overwhelmed and trying to really, I think, rebuild the foundation of his own life. And I'll say this too. I've mentioned on the show that we have a very light screening process, and Jared, I'll never forget when we recorded this one, Jared says to me on the mic, he goes, look, I got two options. One is a little light, one is a little dark. And I said, you know what? We've had some heavy ones lately, and I'm doing this one-man show on stage that's all about depression and suicide and stuff. Let's go with the light one. It really didn't work out that way. Really didn't go the way we thought it was going to. I hope you enjoy it. I know I did.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hello?
Hello. How's it going?
It's pretty good. Pretty good. I'm doing good. Doing good. Getting some holiday stuff.
Good. Glad to hear it.
A couple last minute holiday gifts that still need to get bought, but outside of that, pretty stress free.
Oh, nice. I'm all done with my holiday shopping, so
it's been more power to you.
That's yeah. Well, I had Christmas this past weekend with my kids because they're spending the rest of the holiday. They're spending this weekend with their mom. So. So I did Christmas early, got all my Christmas shopping done early, and gonna be hanging out here locally, not leaving town, not leaving state, because all my family is pretty much in different parts of the country and different parts of the world. So
Yeah. So you're just chilling.
yeah, just chilling, just taking it easy.
That's nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a chance to go see my sister and her husband on Christmas Day, but I'm not sure how long I'm gonna hang out there with them, because they're kind of, I don't know, they're kind of the weirdos in my family, more or less. So
Really?
yeah, well, a couple of years ago they just suddenly overnight decided to go vegan, and which is like totally fine. Like I don't care, but my sister's very thin-skinned about it, and can't take a joke, and my family likes to kind of rib each other a lot, and so if we tease her about being vegan, she doesn't take it very kindly.
Yeah. So you'd rather just not see her as much rather than take your foot off the gas with the teasing.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, I see her occasionally, yeah, but I definitely like to toss my jokes in every now and then, whenever I can. So
I hear you. How old are your kids?
Well, I've got 4 kids. They are 7, 6, 4, and 2.
Wow.
So, yeah, and my first oldest and my youngest both have special needs.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, that's it's kind of a handful with them, and then being a single dad and seeing them on the weekends and stuff, like it's always an effort to maximize my time with them and to really kind of make the most of it, so that they feel that I'm still invested in their lives.
Yeah. I have to ask, and again, if this is not what you were planning on talking about, you just say the word, but to have 4 kids within just a few years of each other, that's not like the usual, you don't usually think single dad. You don't usually think divorce in that situation.
Yeah, no, it really wasn't something that my ex-wife and I were really planning on. Like, we got married, at the end of December back in 2008, and then by November of 2009 was when we had our daughter, and then about 3 months later, roughly, we found out she was pregnant with our son, and he was born October 23rd of 2010. So right when my daughter was still less than a year old.
Wow.
So roughly
Irish twins. They call that Irish twins.
Exactly. So yeah, for about 5 weeks out of the year, I've got, the Irish twins. So, well, they're the same age.
Yeah.
At that time, but yeah, and then ironically enough, my the date of my divorce, when my divorce became official, is happens to be also my youngest son's birthday.
Oof, that's a real 1-2 punch right there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, it's not anything that he's ever going to find out. Not any information that I'm going to be giving to him. Like, hey, happy birthday! This marks X number of years that your mom and I have been divorced now. But it was definitely different. I mean, we were married for a little over 6 years, and things kind of fell apart slowly over the years. We ended up moving out of state to get away from her parents and try and have a fresh start, and things looked like they were going good for about a year, and then that final year everything just went to hell. And so
now wait, do you mean your divorce went through on the same birthday or on the actual day that your son was born?
On his birth date.
On his birth date.
On his first birthday was our official birth date, or divorce date. So
yeah, so that's like it's a real whirlwind decade of life for you, huh?
Yeah. It definitely was. My 20s were not the best time of my life, but I should say mid to late 20s were not the best time of my life. Early 20s were fine. The last couple of years were okay, but that middle section was a nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to leave it up to you how much you want to tell me about it, but from the outside, I can tell you, it sounds. I don't want you to have to like sit in stuff that you just phrased a nightmare, but that just the incongruity of having 4 kids while also seeing it come apart is that's rare. That's just an interesting thing. It's just an interesting thing you don't hear about every day.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like my ex-wife came from a very unique situation. Grew up in foster care. She was, adopted, as a teenager, and, along with all of her younger siblings. And so it was like, she kind of had like this really crazy upbringing, and her adoptive parents are, most people don't get along with their mother-in-laws. I definitely did not get along with mine. But she was, for lack of a better word, I'd say mentally abusive towards my ex-wife, growing up. Like they would always separate, the accomplishments of their biological children versus the accomplishments of the adopted children. And it was really obvious. And it was really contrast to kind of how I grew up, because, I grew up, in, steady household, didn't have to, worry about food or housing or anything like that. And just kind of had like a, what I would call a kind of a typical childhood. And so when her and I got married and started making our own life, that's kind of what we were aiming for. But things kind of got derailed pretty quickly, and I'm not even entirely sure what the root cause of everything falling apart was. But it came to a part to where in the end I told her, like, look, we can get help for this. We can go to counseling. We can seek, guidance on this and try and get pointed in a direction so we can get back to have a healthy marriage. And she just said, no, I'm done with it. I've already filed for divorce and I'm moving out like next week.
Wow.
So, and that was like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. So that was definitely an awkward holiday season for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you must have been shell-shocked.
I was. The thing, like, I could kind of see the writing on the wall. Like, I could see it coming down the road a little bit, which is why it was, like, I actually purchased, like, I'm sure you're familiar with the 5 love languages.
I'm not. Like, wait, like romance languages?
Yeah. Like, there's the 5 different love languages, like words of affirmation, quality time, gift giving. But it's like, I purchased the book. It's basically to kind of help you better to learn kind of what makes your partner feel loved, kind of how to better communicate with them. And I purchased that book, and then one day it went missing, and I asked my ex-wife about it, and she denied having thrown the book away. However, I was never able to find it. And then about 2 weeks later was when she brought up the divorce talk. So I was trying to make things better and to move in a better direction. But she just wasn't interested.
Wow.
And about 4 weeks after she moved out, she was already dating someone else. So.
Really?
Yeah.
And how long ago was that?
This was a little over 2 years ago now at this point.
Damn, man. You must have just been sitting there. Like every single thing about your life changed in like 3 weeks' time, huh?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like I had left my job, since, like I took like a leave of absence, because, she was leaving and moving out, but didn't have the money to, to find a place to take the kids. So basically, like, I left my job, was staying at home with my 4 children 24/7 while she was gone. And, and on the weekends she'd come and she'd take a couple of them, but she just didn't have enough room. And then she started dating this other guy, and it was, like, we discussed it like, hey, look, if you're going to start dating people, let's wait a while before you introduce them to the kids. And it was like, she went against that, and she just started doing just kind of everything kind of on her own. And our roles, I mean, my life was just completely turned on its head from what it had been. So.
Wow. How are you doing now, man? How you feeling?
I'm doing really good now. Like, it's like, that's the thing. So like, as this was all happening, like, I was okay when I had my kids with me. And then after about 3 months, my kids moved out, and I had never experienced depression before in my life. And this was my first kind of, experience with it. And it was a lot different than what I expected. And I was in like just a really dark place emotionally. And, like my parents came down to visit me, about 4 or 5 months after this had all happened. And were asking me how I was feeling. And I just sat there in a chair in my living room, just fighting back all the tears that I could. And I told my dad, I said, Dad, I was like, the way that I feel right now, I was like, I just want to go out on a walk, find a random person, beat the living shit out of them, and then just walk away. I was like, that's like the level of darkness that I feel in my life. And like, I'm not like a physically violent person. Like, I've never been in a fight in my entire life. And it was like, that's how like deep in the depression that I was. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to work. I just wanted to get my aggression out by physically harming another person.
How'd you push past that?
I ended up going to therapy, and that was the greatest decision I had ever made.
That's good.
It was something like, I'd never gone to therapy before, and when I went in, the guy was like, "What are you here for? Like, what's going on? What brought you here?" And I just said, "Look," I was like, "I'm depressed. These are the thoughts." I told him the same thing that I told my dad, and I said, "I just need to find a way to kind of work through this and get past it." And I went to therapy for about 6 months, and my therapist was incredibly amazing, and helped get me out of my depression and on a path. And now I'm not depressed, and really just kind of working on focusing on making sure that I'm doing the best that I can to take care of myself, so that I can do the best that I can as a dad to take care of my kids and make sure that my kids have, stability in their life.
Yeah. And what's your relationship like with your kids and your ex?
My relationship with my ex is much better. We get along now much better than we ever did when we were married. There's occasional arguments here and there, but those are only over, ever over like text message or the rare phone call, and then never in front of the kids. And I never bash my ex in front of my kids, and she doesn't bash me in front of them. At least I hope she doesn't. She says she doesn't, and I kind of just have to take her to word. But at this point, I'm seeing my kids every weekend, and I get to spend a lot of quality time with them and whatnot. But then during the week when I don't have them, it's phone calls back and forth, or we'll FaceTime or something. Whenever they come home from school, they've done something or drawn a picture. So my relationship's pretty strong with my kids.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's really, I gotta say, my head's spinning thinking about this timeline, and I'm gonna have to live through any of it.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Well, and that's kind of the nutty thing is when she first moved out, and then 3 weeks later I find out she's dating a guy, and then my best friend's coming over at night, and he's talking to me, just kind of spending some time with me, trying to talk me through this, and I'm just like, hey man, I'm like, dude, she's already dating someone, and he kind of looks at me and he's like, yeah, and he's like, that's tough, and I just look at him and I'm like, I don't know how long she's actually been dating him though, because she's only saying it's been X number of weeks, and she fed me a story, but it was one of those things. And so it was like every time he'd come over, like when they'd drop the kids off and he'd be there, I'd make sure to kind of slip something in there about like, hey, you realize you're still sleeping with a married man's wife, right? Like, yeah, we're going through a divorce, but like, we're still married. Like you're still a shitbag of a person. Like, that, right? And he never said anything. He would just stand there, and my ex-wife would be like, all right, well, there are the kids, we're leaving, see you later, and whatnot. But after a while, part of going to therapy was like, look, that might have been the case. You don't know how long they were seeing each other before she actually moved out or filed for divorce. It could be a year, it could be 6 months, or it could be the 3 week timeline that she gave you. Is like, but you can't do anything about it. You can't change it. They're together now. So you just got to accept it and move on.
Yeah. And is she still with that guy?
Oh yeah. She's married to him and has a kid by him now.
Whoa.
They got married about 6 weeks after our divorce was final.
What? Wait, about 6 weeks after your divorce was final?
Yeah, like our divorce was finalized close to the beginning of the year of 2014, and she got married like less than 6 weeks later to him.
Hey man, I've never been like
so.
But I've never been much of like a bro. Never really had too many relationships like that. I'm just going to go ahead with you and say, damn, dog. Damn dog indeed. I bet everybody listening, nodding their head right now, saying that guy deserved the damn dog for sure. We're going to go ahead. This guy's got a lot to say. He's lived through a lot, and we're going to hear about all of it. But first, we're going to hear about many fine products and services that the sponsors have to offer. These are the people who help make this show happen for free. So please do take them up on these fine offers. Let's hear from our sponsors. Are you hiring? Do you know where to post your job to find the best candidates? Posting your job in one place, it's not enough to find quality candidates. If you want to find the perfect hire, you need to post your job on all the top job sites, and now you can. ZipRecruiter already has 9 million resumes you can search through in their database. 9 million! You can add multiple people to your account, make it the most efficient for your team to find the best hire. With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post your job to 100 plus job sites, including social media networks like Facebook, Twitter, all with a single click. ZipRecruiter is a search engine for finding and posting jobs. Find candidates in any city, any industry nationwide. You post once, you watch your qualified candidates roll into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Quickly screen candidates, rate them, hire the right person fast. If you have any issues, ZipRecruiter's friendly and human support staff is ready to help. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by over 1 million businesses and has been featured on Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Time, New York Times, TechCrunch, CBS. ZipRecruiter's website shows trending career fields, cities, searches. And I tell you, I've had to hire people. Like with the TV show now, you got to hire people. It's not always easy. You don't know what you're getting. It's so nice to have a site that's helping you sort it all out, making it streamlined, making it easy. Go for it. And right now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free by going to ziprecruiter.com/beautiful. That's ziprecruiter.com/beautiful. One more time to try it for free. Go to ziprecruiter.com/beautiful. Therapy can and should be affordable, confidential, and convenient. And everybody knows me at this point. I'm a very big advocate of therapy, taking care of your mental health. Just why do we take care of our physical health? It's so weird to take care of our mental health. It shouldn't be weird. Let's drop that stigma. And look, Talkspace is affordable, confidential, and convenient. Only with Talkspace do you get unlimited messaging to your dedicated licensed therapist for just $32 a week. Join over 300,000 users who already know that with Talkspace you can text, audio message, or video message your therapist as many times as you want without having to wait a week for your next appointment, because with Talkspace, your therapist is always in your pocket or on your computer. And now you can even schedule a live video session with your therapist right from your smartphone. That is simple and easy and very cool. Help show support for this show by visiting Talkspace.com/beautiful. You get a special $30 discount off your first month, or download the Talkspace app on the Apple or Android App Store. Use coupon code BEAUTIFUL. Talkspace, therapy for how we live today. Thank you so much to everybody who sponsors this show and allows it to happen. And thank you most of all to our caller for opening up and being so honest. I want to hear more of it. Let's get to the call. I've never been much of like a bro. Never really had too many relationships like that. I'm just going to go ahead with you and say, damn, dog.
Yeah. Damn. It was a real kick in the nuts. And
yeah, it was. Jesus Christ. Whoa.
It was bad. And the thing is like, I'm down in a state where I've got my younger sister, she lives nearby, but I mean, it's like, other tan that, I mean, it's like,
yeah, she's a weird vegan.
That's
though.
Really
you can't, she's a weird,
yeah.
You can't be messing with them weird
she's
vegans.
A weird vegan. And exactly. I mean, it's like, she can't understand the situation. And, and so it's like, I'm down here and it's like, I've got no family to lean on. And, my best friend that was coming over, I mean, he's like 7-8 months younger than me, but he's not married and he still lives at home with his parents. And it's like, there's no way in hell that he can relate to what I'm going on. So it was like, that was another thing that kind of drove me into that depression, was that I was, I felt like I was on this journey by myself.
Yeah.
And it was crazy, but, and this sounds nuts too, but over the course of the last 2 years, some of the people that have helped me out the most are people that I've never met through various, like podcast communities or, like single dad groups or something on Facebook, and, just kind of talking with them and hearing their situations and all these super lengthy divorce proceedings and custody battles. And it just kind of put my shit into perspective. Like, dude, you got to stop bitching, because your life isn't nearly as bad as it is for all these other guys, And so it just, that kind of helped, kind of put things back in perspective. But it definitely fucked me up for a while, to where, after the divorce, it was like, I didn't want to date anybody. I didn't want to talk to any women. Like, I just, became just immediately distrustful of every person in the opposite sex.
So you could have really fallen into that whole like men's rights red pill scene.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And there were quite a lot of people that I was becoming acquainted with that were all part of that. And when I was going through my divorce process and everything, everyone was like, "Hey man, you need to go get a lawyer, one that's going to fight for the father's right and everything." Because, as I'm sure most people say about whatever state they're living in, they're like, "Oh, this state is one that definitely sides with the mothers," and and just painting these horrible scenes about how my kids were going to be taken away from me and I would never see them, and I would, their relationship with me would just be, a check that my ex-wife would get in the mail twice a month, for child support.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like that was like my biggest fear. And I mean, to my ex-wife's credit, like that's not what she wants, because with her being in foster care and stuff growing up, like she didn't have a father figure. So it's like she didn't have her dad in her life, and her adoptive dad is a lot better than any other dad she's had. But it's like she wanted to make sure that her kids, that our kids didn't grow up not knowing who their father was. She wanted to make sure that I was very present in their life and was able to be more than just, a guy off in the shadows or, a guy that sent a check twice a month.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the whole thing is intense. It's really interesting to me to hear that, like, things like podcast communities and online groups for single dads got you through it. But also knowing that, like, you did have some flirtations with that. I don't know. I don't know much about it. My encounters with those men's rights groups, like some of those Reddit subreddits, man, they get dark.
Oh yeah.
It's like, but you feel like you managed to, like, not buy into those totally and come out on the other side feeling a little better.
Yeah. Came out feeling a lot better. I mean, my situation hasn't, greatly improved, as far as, my quality of life. But, at this point, I'm not depressed, about it. I'm not, angry at my ex-wife, for leaving or for dating as soon as she did or getting remarried as quickly as she did. Like, that's all stuff in the past. I can't control it. It's already happened. Like, I've just had to kind of move past all that and focus on making sure, like I said earlier, that I'm taking care of myself so that I can take care of my kids. I mean, I work 2 jobs, just to make sure that I can provide a life for myself and for my kids. And that really kind of, that's what keeps me busy.
Yeah. Do you date? Are you dating at all?
I tried. I'm working on it. I, just actually fairly recently, was talking with a girl and was working on trying to set up a date with her, and then all of a sudden she kind of started to ghost me a little bit and just kind of went real quiet and just started giving like one-word replies, and after about 2 days of this, I just said to myself, I was like, okay, I don't want this uncertainty. Like, I'm just going to come out and ask her. So, I asked her, I just sent her a text and said, look, are you interested in me taking you out, or are you not? Like, just tell me one way or the other. No hard feelings. I get if you're not interested, but like, I just want to know, and she came back with the whole, like, look, you're a great guy and you seem really nice, but 4 kids, is a lot to take on and all this kind of stuff. And in my mind, I'm thinking, like, I'm not proposing marriage. I'm saying let's go get dinner. I don't see how a plate of spaghetti, involves my kids, but at the same time, I'm not in the dating game just to sleep with women. I'm not a one night stand person. If I'm going to date someone, I'm going to date someone so I can kind of see where she's coming from. But at the same point, I'm just like, man, I just really want to get, a meal with you. And she's already equating it to, a marriage proposal and being a stepmom and taking on, being jumped in from having no kids to having 4 stepkids, which I can see why that's a little daunting. So I don't blame her for kind of backing out, but at the same time, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, man, I really wish that something would have worked out there, that her and I would have been able to get together to at least go on a date so that I can, break this streak of, not dating anyone, for the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's such a rock and a hard place, because it is like you're saying, intellectually, I get it. I get why she'd say, like, I don't know if that's, but emotionally, just trying to hook it up with some sweet ass spaghetti, like you said. Just have a bowl of spaghetti, garlic bread. You dip the garlic bread in the sauce, a glass of wine. Just Italian meal. Feel it out. Let's get it going. But it's such a rock and hard place. It's like, because you're like you're saying, you don't want to be a good guy. You're not looking to sleep around. So it's like, but that's tough, man. You've dealt with a lot, and you sound like you got your head on straight in spite of it, and that's remarkable. The fact that this phone call is not just you, ranting and and saying that there was like the potential for hating women, and that you managed to not go down that road. It's like you seem like such a good guy. It's such a shame, man. Just trying to get some of that.
Yeah, I mean, get
that spaghetti. Throw some cheese on it, because you're not a weird vegan like your sister.
Exactly, man. Fucking vegans. I don't get them, man.
I got no problem with the vegans. I stopped eating everything, all the meat. I don't eat meat anymore. I still eat fish sometimes, so that makes me a pescatarian. But nobody's psyched to meet a pescatarian, so I just say I don't eat meat, but I still eat fish. That was because I thought I was having a heart attack one night. I thought I was dying. Spent the night in the hospital.
Yeah, that's something I couldn't even imagine trying to deal with, is, going through a heart attack or thinking something like that's going on. I can see why you cut out meat. I mean, personally, I'm not like a seafood guy, so I can't do seafood. I couldn't do the pescatarian life, but
I do you know what I really love about you, man? Here's everything I love about you. And we've only been talking for 31 minutes. Here's what I love about you. You just spent 30 minutes telling me about a situation that no one can argue with. Hard situation. 4 kids, 2 of them special needs. Very short notice. Marriage comes apart at the seams. You're still not even sure why. Other guy is in the picture very quickly. It's driving you nuts. You got to go through a lot of therapy to reconcile with that. Learn how to let it go. Your life now, forever. I mean, you got 4 kids. It now revolves around them, even though it's from afar, hard. All that. You lay out all that, and I'm trying to be sympathetic. And then I say I gave up meat, and you're like, man, I can't even imagine that. Give you a lot of credit. You actually turned around and said, you give me credit because I only eat fish. You're a nice person. Yeah. You're a nice person, dude.
Well, I mean, giving up anything, is tough in life, and I mean,
my life is so easy, man. I can't have you sitting here patting me on the back for my troubles, because I opted to give up chicken and beef and pork. I can't have you sitting there going, man, that sounds tough, man. I got your back on that, bro. No. My life is a fucking cakewalk. I got problems. My life's a cakewalk. I got to be here for you, man. I can't even sit here and pretend. Oh yeah, let's talk about the struggles of my recent pescatarian decision. I can't even pretend that that's a valid use of your time.
Well,
I can't even.
I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, it's like, I like you said, I spent the last, several minutes just dumping all the shit that's been going on in my life the last couple of years, and but it's like I've been to therapy, like I've settled with all that, like I'm good with all that, like it's in the past, like I'm focused on the future, and then. And we're talking about veganism and giving up, meat and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it's a change. And so, I can, cause the thing is, I know a lot of callers kind of, tend to, kind of come in and with the chit chat for about 20 minutes and then get into the deep stuff. And,
yeah.
And, I was kind of like, well, if I'm going to get through, I'm just going to, come flying out of the gates, guns a-blazing. And
well done. Mission accomplished on that one.
Yeah. Well, I hope it hasn't been too much. That's for sure. But,
man, it's never too much. It's never too much. Quote me on that. Anyone calling in the future, it's never too much. You come at me, I roll with the punches. I'm just here. You don't have to apologize. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, and I know, because I know your therapist listens to this and whatnot, and I know you've probably, based on previous podcasts, I know you've gotten in, in some shit there with, maybe giving out advice or whatever. So it's like that's not, when I kept telling myself, like, when I finally get through, like, I don't want it to be a therapy session. I want it to be like a more or less, just kind of a success story. Like, hey man, my life went to shit. All this stuff went down. I went to therapy. Like, it was the best decision I ever made, and now my life still isn't great. It still sucks in many, many ways, but I've got a positive outlook towards the future. I'm, when I first called in, I was asked what I wanted to talk about. I was like, well, just kind of, like the end of 2016 and the beginning of 2017, and just kind of like looking like at the year in review. And it's like, this year hasn't been my best year, but at the same time, it's also not been my worst. I've got to spend a lot of quality time with my kids and see them grow, and, and in in my night job, I've made advancements there to where, I'm more of a valuable asset to the company. And, and it's like, I'm just trying to look, towards the end of this year and the beginning of next year, and how my life is going to change and what I can do, to kind of make things better.
That's some inspiring shit, man. That was some salt of the earth, unpretentious, inspiring shit you just said. Sorry, Sally. That was really.
Yes. Sorry, Sally, for all the swearing.
Yeah, it's okay. She can. She's grown up. She can handle it.
Well,
it's cool though, man.
My just to be fair, my mom, who will never listen to this podcast, she is really not a big fan of swearing. I think I've only sworn once in front of my parents, and I think I said "son of a bitch" in front of my dad. We were cleaning out the garage, and I pulled back a box, and there was a black widow behind that, and I'm not a big fan of spiders, and so I just, jumped up and screamed, "Son of a bitch!" And my dad looked at me, and it was just like, so, he didn't like the whole swearing thing. My parents aren't big on cussing, but it's definitely
it's all good.
part of my life. But I understand when people aren't.
You've
aren't
earned
big fans.
You've earned a couple cusses. Anybody listening is going, this guy probably doesn't have to put so much money in the swear jar. If there's anybody who had a right to sit down at a certain point in his life and just go, what the fuck just happened? Even my mom is probably like, yeah, that's the dude who can drop it. How old are you? Can I ask how old you are?
I am in 30, just getting ready to turn 31 here in the next 3 weeks.
Dude, you have 4 kids and you've been divorced and you're 30 years old.
Yeah.
You're at the my life didn't even get remotely good until I was like 32. Damn,
Yeah,
man.
that's
You're like
the
at
thing.
holy shit. So you had your first kid when you were like 21.
I didn't get married till I was 22. I didn't get married till I was 22, but my first child was born when I was 23.
23, and then you cranked out 4 kids in your 20s.
23, and I was divorced by age 28.
That's a whole life. That's a whole life in 28 years. And now you just have to get to start a new life. Wow.
Yeah, well, I mean, not even a whole life in 23 years, a whole life in 6 years,
Yeah.
5 years, it's, cause I mean, it was like, I did the whole like typical like high school, going to college stuff, like started dating a girl, fell in love, got married, and then things just took off from there. I mean, things progressed in a lot of ways, and in other areas, regress. Like when my first daughter was born, and we found out she had special needs. We didn't know what all that was going to entail, and my ex-wife was having a really difficult time because she was pregnant. When we found out, we didn't find out that my daughter had special needs until about 4 months afterwards, because they didn't really kind of manifest themselves, right away after she was born. But when we found out that she had special needs and we didn't know what that was going to entail, I ended up dropping out of college so that I could, help take care of her and take care of my daughter and make sure that, that everything was going on. And things progressed at such a rapid pace that here I am, 30 years old, college dropout, and working, 60 hours a week, having my kids on the weekends, and zero free time to myself. And my goal for this next year is to get in a position where I can hopefully get back into school and earn a stable career instead of working hourly jobs my entire life.
I think we'd all agree. This guy has had to roll with some punches. And I think we all maybe need to step back and reflect on that a little bit. And while we're doing so, I think the best way to really fill that time is to remember that there are a lot of sponsors who help make this show happen, who allow me to bring it to you guys for free. They have products, they have services, they are things that I think can really probably help you out. Check them out, and we'll be back with more phone call right afterwards. I wear glasses, worn them my whole life, since 3rd grade. I know, you got to think about them just like an accessory, just like your shoes, hats, whatever. You got to think about these things, all right? And Warby Parker makes that easy. Warby Parker, good company. Every time they sell a pair of glasses, they give a pair of glasses to someone in need. Very nice. They also make buying your glasses online easy and risk-free. What? Yes. They got the home try-on program. Allows you to order 5 pairs of glasses, shipped directly to you. You try them on, show your friends, your family, get opinions, all right? Try them for 5 days, then you send them back. Use a free prepaid return shipping label. No obligation to purchase. All free. So easy. A dog can do it. Cat can do it. Maybe not. But whatever. It works. Look, I wear glasses. You go to the store. You stress out. Are they good? Are they bad? Do they look good? You spend so much money on them. Not at Warby Parker. You get them $95 Warby Parker. Okay? You don't have to commit to this thing that's on your face for the next few years without trying it out. So head to warbyparker.com/stories. Order your free home try-ons today. Choose the 5 frames you like. Mail them back. Choose your favorite pair or pairs. Have your prescription added. Simple as that. Warby Parker makes your experience risk-free and with free shipping all around. warbyparker.com/stories. Begin your free home try-on experience today. And also download the Warby Parker app from the iTunes App Store. They give you this feature with the home try-ons. You take photos, you send them to your friends, your family, help you pick a winner. Warby Parker. Check it out. Thank you so much, and thank you to our caller. Let's go ahead. Let's finish strong. Let's hear from this guy one last time. Beautiful Anonymous.
My goal for this next year is to get in a position where I can hopefully get back into school and earn a stable career instead of working hourly jobs my entire life.
Yeah, scrapping. Wow. Wow.
Scrapping's not a way to live, man.
Dude, 30. I had no idea you were 30. That's mind-boggling. I gotta ask.
Shoot, man.
You had four kids, like back to back to back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Was that like, did you always
On
want
purpose?
Did you always want a big family? Was it on purpose? Was it four kids? That's a lot of kids by modern standards.
It is. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, I am the third of 5 children, and so it's, you know, I had a lot of, you know, brothers and sisters growing up, 2 older sisters, and then a younger brother and a younger sister, and then me in the middle, and then my ex-wife has 11 siblings. Well, I should say she has 9 now. 2 of them are no longer on this earth, but she has the family that she's a part of has 6 biological children and 6 adopted children.
Wow. So you both grew up in larger families.
Yeah, we both grew up in larger families, and I've got a massive, you know, extended family, more on my dad's side than my mom's, but we didn't anticipate, you know, having as many kids as we did. I mean, you know, the first kid was, you know, because, you know, we were newlyweds and, you know, we were having a lot of sex, and that's what happens when you have sex, is people get pregnant, and
especially when you're 23.
So we were kind of like,
when you're 23, yeah, that's gonna happen.
Oh, exactly, man. Just like rabbits, dude. We were going at it, and so, you know,
it's like once you have the one, and you're like, now we got to have a family. We don't want these kids growing up real far apart. Is it that type of thing?
No, I mean, the thing is so. From, you know, because so when my daughter was first born, our doctor said, like, okay, you guys can't have sex for 6 weeks. And, you know, we were like, all right, that's cool. You know, whatever. We're not worried about that. And then as it turned out, like, you know, we waited the full 6 weeks. So by the time that 6 weeks rolled around, like, not to be crass, but I mean, we were ready to go.
Yeah.
And we were stupid, and we were not careful about it, and she ended up pregnant the second time, and that was kind of like
hold on,
a whoops.
Are you telling me the first time you had sex after your first kid was born, you got pregnant again the first time?
More or less, yeah. I mean,
like
it was
like first week or so out, like, right?
Yeah.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
God damn, man.
So
damn.
Well, I mean, we had a lot of catching up, because between when my daughter was born and when we had sex again, you know, was her birthday, my ex-wife's birthday, our anniversary, you know, New Year's, Christmas, and then my birthday. So it was like we were kind of catching up on, like, you know, 5 or 6 events, you know, where it was like
event,
you know,
sex, special occasion sex.
Exactly.
We gotta have our Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. So
you got in over your head.
Yeah, and the last one, the last child that we had, it was kind of like, you know, a heat of the moment. We got into it, and I said, hey, look, let me go grab a condom. And she was like, no, let's just go. She's like, we'll be fine. I won't get pregnant. I'm like, you know, that's not true. You know, you're going to get pregnant. And then she got pregnant, and, you know, when she told me she was pregnant, I just kind of threw my hands up in the air, and I just said, I fucking told you so.
So so you had 4 kids by the time you were 28 or so,
mm-hmm.
and 3 of them were accidents.
More or less, yeah.
Wow, dude. When you sit down at that date with the bowl of spaghetti and the lady goes, so what were your 20s like? You just have to, like, plead the fifth. You can't even answer that question, man.
Oh, I know. Well, and that's the thing. It's the tough thing to talk about with women.
Yeah. But I bet I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna make a bold prediction. I bet the feedback
right,
to
let's
this.
hear it.
I bet the feedback to this episode. I bet I'm gonna get a lot of tweets from ladies who go, that dude sounds like a hardworking guy who got in over his head but managed to keep his head on straight, and that's commendable. And I would date that guy. I bet there's a lot of people who will be inspired by that story and will feel like that's a guy who's ready to put in the work and be a good dad, despite the fact that it really all came about.
Yeah.
It really all came about in like a house of cards fashion, so to speak.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the thing is, like, at this point in my life, I mean, I haven't had a vasectomy or anything, but I'm totally not opposed to it. But the thing is, and four kids is a lot.
Yeah.
2 with special needs, and I guarantee you'll probably get a lot of tweets and a lot of comments that says that dude should have wrapped his thing up, so that he should have been a little bit more careful, which I fully admit I should have been. But the thing is that now that I'm 2 years out from my divorce and trying to get back into dating, a lot of the women that are in my dating pool are kind of feeling that, like, oh man, my biological clock is ticking. If I'm going to have a kid, I better pump it out soon.
Yeah.
And, Tinder doesn't really have like a thing where you can, filter out, women that don't want to have kids or can't have kids for medical reasons. And kind of that's what I'm looking for. Like, I really don't want to have any more kids, but it's like, I can't walk up to a woman, shake her hand and be like, nice to meet you. I don't ever want to have any more kids again. So if you want kids, just step to that direction, cause that's really kind of how I want to approach things. It's like, I don't want more kids.
I'm telling you, man, keep your eye on my Twitter feed the week after this episode drops. You can be very encouraged because I bet you'll see a lot of people saying, hey, there's a lot of people out here who don't want kids who sounds like a good, hardworking dude. I got to say, you managed to keep a head on your shoulders beyond what I think a lot of people would cut you a lot more slack. The fact that you said, I went to therapy, great decision in my life. Now I'm just trying to work hard, get things back on track, raise my kids right, go back to school. What do you want to go back to school for? Like, what you said that a very inspiring thing about, I want to look forward, not backwards. Like, what do you want your 30s to be? What do you want the next year to be? What do you want the next 10 years to be?
The next year, I would love to find a girl to date, not necessarily to marry, because I guess that's a lot to take on, but just a girl to date, to kind of get back into the groove of things, and also to get back into school. I mean, you asked me what I would like to do. I would like to be a teacher. I had of fantastic and influential teachers in my life growing up. I mean, I still keep in contact with one of my teachers, from high school. We chat back and forth on a regular basis about how life's going and, how things are. And
of course you want to be a teacher.
I remember,
of course you're like, I want to be around more kids. I want to inspire more kids and more people. I want to get in there and do something that's selfless and giving. Of course that's what you say. You're a good guy.
I would
good
love,
guy.
I mean, there were so many teachers that played pivotal roles, in my life, that it's like, that's where the real kind of inspiration goes. I mean, also I like learning, I like history and English and stuff like that. I mean, fuck math and whatnot. I hate math, but
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm with you on that. Math is garbage. Not my thing.
I hate it. But I'd love to do that. But that's kind of the other trick with dating is finding a woman that wants to kind of build a life, that wants to kind of get in on the ground level, and be like, all right, let's build this life together. And, a lot of, not all women, I don't want to piss off all the female listeners, but, a lot of women that I have spoken with over the last, couple of years, and a lot of women that my friends, try to date, they're like, oh, sorry, you don't have a career, you don't have a house, like, forget it. You're not the guy for me. Like, they kind of want to jump in, to a fairy tale life that's already been set up for them. And I'm trying to find someone that's okay with a 31-year-old that doesn't have a college degree, but wants to go get a college degree so that, he can, kind of can build a life. And that's kind of the other trick to this. So
you want someone who's going to get in the trenches and fight with you on the way up.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, I thought I had someone like that by my side, and then she just was kind of like, well, that trench over there looks like it might be a little bit nicer. I'm going to go jump in that trench over there with that guy. So see you later. And, cause I mean, her life isn't, the greatest and everything. And she's still got her struggles, but it's like, that's, I thought I had that person by my side, and now I don't. Now I'm trying to find that person to get in there with me.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. You're going to find it. You're going to find it. You're going to find it, because this stuff is too compelling, and you're clearly someone who's ready to just put in the work and the time and the fight. I bet you're going to find that person. I bet long-term you're going to settle down again. And I bet I'm going to make an even bolder prediction. I don't even know you. I don't have a right to say this. My guess is you might even find somebody where you go, you know what? Maybe I will have another kid because this person's making me feel good about it. I bet you might get there someday.
Maybe I will.
Who knows, man? I'm going to ask you. I don't want to break the anonymity too much. What state do you live in? I got to ask what state you live in.
I live in Utah.
In Utah. But there's a lot of ladies out there in Utah going, I would date this guy. And I bet you're going to see. I bet you're going to be very encouraged, my friend. Utah.
I'm hoping so. It's tough to find them. I work a lot. I don't have a lot of free time. I mean, if I want to go hang out with friends, or I want to go see a movie, I've got to, go really, really late at night or call in sick to one of my jobs, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You're in it. You're in the trenches right now. I give you so much credit, man. I give you so much credit. You're just fighting through it all. And you're not a negative person. And who would blame you if you were? And you're not. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
But, I mean, and kind of just switch gears, a little bit here, but not too far. Some of the things that kind of really help kind of get me through this, besides, friends and things like that, have been, I started listening to podcasts actually because I was depressed. Like, I would be, at my night job, which was a lot of alone time, gave me a lot of time to think, and I got trapped inside my head, and would just sit there and have these arguments with myself, and I was like, I got to stop thinking about this, got to get out of my head. Like, so I started listening to podcasts, and now I think with yours in the mix, I think I'm up to like 18 podcasts that I listen to like on a regular basis.
Whoa.
And those help keep me out there, keep me distracted. And I mean, it's all the, it runs the gamut from, parenting podcasts, video game podcasts, history stuff, a lot of NPR, and stuff from you. And then I listen to a lot of music, but, I always end up listening to the music that, that made me feel the best, that just kind of got my blood pumping and made me want to go do something and got me excited about stuff. And that's kind of what I spend my days doing, is podcasts and listening to music.
I'm glad to be some small part of that escapism.
It's great. It's been really fun to hear a lot of other people that are, going through stuff and, in rough patches in their life. They're in their own personal trench, but, people aren't giving up the fight. Like, it's encouraging.
Yeah. And you're that now. You're that for a lot of people out there, I bet. Especially a lot of people who got burned, because you got burned. And you, like you say, you don't, like you even said, you copped to it. You said, I don't even know the root of when things went wrong with the ex. Things fell apart. There's other guys around. I got to wonder how, when that started, I got to figure out how to let that go. You have every right to be a bitter, negative dude, and you just opted not to. You opted to just, on behalf of yourself and your kids, get it together and figure out how to look forward. And that's really, really commendable.
Well, I appreciate that. And I mean, it's not been easy. I mean, being depressed and being down there was, was absolutely terrible. And it wasn't anything that I enjoyed. And once I got out of it, it was, a lot better. And I was able to see the light of day. And that's, more or less what I try and point other people towards, when I talk to them, they're having a rough time. It's like, hey man, if you're really having a hard time with this, I tell them to go seek out therapy, because it's like, therapy, has a, in some areas has a negative, thing. It's like, housewives will whisper back and forth to each other like, oh, did you hear so-and-so's in therapy? And, that's kind of a shame in my opinion, because, like one of the podcasts that I listened to, the guy went to therapy and he was like, look, he's like, if someone's going to a doctor, because they're morbidly obese and they're going to a doctor saying, hey doc, I'm not healthy, please make me better, everyone's going to applaud that guy and put him up on a pedestal. And it's like, that's what therapy is for your brain. You're going to a doc saying, man, doc, I'm not well, help me out here, help me fix this and get this right, and it's like, the mental and the physical, I mean, it's like, that's how I view therapy is, you're just going to a doctor because,
it's medicine.
Something's not right. Yeah, it's medicine.
Yeah, get
exactly.
it fixed up. And I hear all these people say to me, because I'm a very known and vocal proponent of the same thing. And you get people saying to me, oh, I went and saw one therapist and it wasn't for me. I didn't like the guy. And it's like, well, if you only went and saw one dentist and you didn't like it, would you just let all your teeth fall out of your head? No. You go find another one. You get it fixed up. You fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is, you gotta, and other people I know don't want to tell their therapist stuff. And it's like, man, you got to tell them. It's like, that's what they're there for. They're there to help. It's like, you might not want to tell, your primary care physician that you slept with, a $2 hooker down in, Tijuana. But, if you want to get rid of, whatever terrible STD you've got to tell them the truth. Like, hey, I slept with this sketchy person down in Mexico. Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's not fun. But if you want to get better, you've got to air all your dirty laundry and get it out there. I mean, that's the only way to really heal yourself is you got to cleanse the wound 100%.
Yeah. $2. That's, I don't know why that detail jumped out at me more than any other, but the $2, that is an amazing analogy though. And totally true. I agree. Fix yourself up. And not everybody takes the time to do it. A lot of people in your position, they'd be drinking, they'd be bitter. And hearing you say, no, I decided I was going to go get healthy and figure out how to get there. It's cool, man. And we're winding down. We got like 30 seconds left, but I just want to say you strike me as a really good guy and a really strong guy. And I think you're going to get all the things you want. I really do.
Oh, thank you much. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you and I were able to chat and hopefully other people find this helpful. That's really kind of my end goal is to, not to put myself up there like I'm the greatest guy in the world, but, to let other people know that it's not the end of the world when shit hits the fan and when your life goes to crap. I mean, there's always a way out of it.
Caller, thank you. I said it a bunch of times on the call, but I think everybody listening agrees. You stuck with it. You kept your head in the game. You didn't give in to bitterness. And hearing you say, I just actively chose to go get help, fix my head up, not give in to all the negative stuff. So cool. Such a cool thing to underline. Such a cool thing to be reminded of. And thank you. Seem like a good guy. Seem like a good dad. I hope it all works out. And I think it's gonna. Thank you for calling. Thank you to everybody for listening. Thank you to Jared O'Connell in the booth who gets me through these things. Thank you to the Reverend John Delore and Greta Cohn and Shellshag for the intro music. If you want to know more about me, chrisgeth.com. And please do, if you like the show, rate it, review it, subscribe on iTunes. It really does help. I'm not kidding. It helps so much. And thank you, everybody, for supporting the show. And I'll see you on the internet. And maybe I'll talk to you on the phone next time. Who knows? Beautiful Anonymous. We'll be back soon. Therapy can and should be affordable, confidential, convenient. Join over 300,000 users who already know that with TalkSpace, you can text, audio message, or video message your therapist as many times as you want without having to wait a week for your next appointment. Because with TalkSpace, your therapist is always in your pocket or on your computer. Help show support for Beautiful Anonymous. Visit TalkSpace.com/beautiful. You get a $30 discount off your first month, or you download the TalkSpace app on the Apple or Android App Store. Use coupon code BEAUTIFUL. I love therapy. It has changed my life for the better. Go for it. TalkSpace, therapy for how we live today. Next time on Beautiful Anonymous. What happens when you come down with something where all they can tell you is you're going to be fine if you wait 4 years? What is this? Can I ask what you came down with?
I was in a community in Uganda that I've had a connection to for a while, that I love a lot. I thought it was just a typical traveler's diarrhea problem, you know. This one didn't get better, and I started getting some neurological problems. They actually had to fly me out and land one of those little small planes to pick me up. Actually, Chris, it was crazy, you know. This little plane comes to pick me up, and it crashes. Can you believe that?
What are you talking about?
It was a bad day.
That's next time on Beautiful Anonymous.
Friends, why not take a trip to Spontaneation, where hours of listening pleasure await you. Hours made up of moments. Moments like these.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad I won that lottery where you got to come to a celebrity's funeral.
Well, certainly. We're glad to have you here. This is your program, and you'll sit in the front row with the family.
Oh.
How you doing? I'm John Wayne's son.
Oh, my God.
And I'm John Wayne's daughter.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Well, congratulations on winning the contest.
Yeah, well done.
I've never been to a celebrity funeral before. Are there any tips?
Just keep quiet and hold on. It's gonna be a wild ride.
Be respectful. We're talking about the Duke here.
Listen to Spontaneation with me, Paul F. Tompkins, on Earwolf, iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app.
This has been an Earwolf production, executive produced by Scott Ackerman, Chris Bannon, and Colin Anderson. For more information and content, visit earwolf.com.